Hello everyone, this is David, developer of TS3Tools. Just for the sake of things, I'm putting together this tutorial video on how to use TS3Tools. And for this video, I have a virtual machine of Windows 10 set up, just to kind of showcase TS3Tools as a whole, but also how to go about installing everything and patching the game, installing tweaks, bug fixes, etc., the save cleaner, pretty much everything that's included in TS3Tools. I want to take a moment to go over. Needless to say, you should be doing this on a clean install of The Sims 3. If not a clean install of Windows, if possible, but at the very least, a clean install of The Sims 3. Before I begin showcasing TS3Tools, I want to take a minute here. If you're not using TS3Tools on a clean installation of The Sims 3, then you'll want to bring up your Documents folder, and go to Electronic Arts, right-click The Sims 3, select Copy, and then just make a copy of that folder somewhere else. Now, yours may not be as quick as mine, but this is a fresh install, so there's very little data in there at the moment. But just make a copy of that folder in the event that you're not installing TS3Tools on top of a clean installation of The Sims 3, so that if you run into any problems, you can restore that folder back to its location and start from the beginning, and there you go. First and foremost, when you're starting up TS3Tools, my very first recommendation, and it's in red here, because on that note, anything in yellow, orange, or red, definitely worth reading. But very first thing you're going to want to do, scroll down to the bottom here, hit the Mod Framework button. Now there's a good possibility that if it's not a clean installation of The Sims 3, you already have the Mod Framework. I would very much recommend installing TS3Tools Mod Framework over yours, as there are certain modifications, requirements, and things that I put into my mod framework that are centered around the use of TS3Tools. So once you hit that button, you'll be presented with an NSys installer. Confirm that the destination folder is in fact your Documents, Electronic Arts, Sims 3 directory, and then hit install. Once you've done that, if you go back to the Sims 3 folder, you should see a new folder that says Mods, which has an Overrides and Packages folder in it. This is imperative, as a majority of the tweaks and fixes that are included in TS3Tools rely entirely on having the mod framework installed. So I definitely recommend doing that at first. They're going to be a great majority of video cards that have been released since 2014, which was the last Into the Future expansion for The Sims 3, that may not be supported natively by the game. For that, you're going to want to hit the GPU support button. Now, because I'm running this in a virtual machine, it's telling me I don't know what this is. What you're going to see is a very different message that will identify what your video card is, and it'll have an OK button, and it'll say, hey, I found The Sims 3. Either it's going to find the Steam installation, your EA or /Origin installation, or it'll find your retail installation. If it does not find your Steam or EA installation, you can select one of these two buttons. and it should help you find it. If it doesn't find it at all, you can click the folder to browse for the location of your Sims 3 installation. Once it's identified and said, hey, is this your video card, and you select OK, you can hit this green check mark and it will patch your GraphicsRules file in order for the game to properly recognize your GPU. After you've installed the GPU support for your GPU, click on Save Cleaner. Confirm that that's where you want the Save Cleaner to be installed. Click Close. Now, because this is a virtual machine, the Save Cleaner is not running, but it's a very useful tool that you can use to clean your saves so that they don't get overly bloated with information. We're going to go to the Tweaks section. You're going to want to install most, if not all, of the tweaks in this page. I included the Sims Medieval Smooth patch just as a novelty in case you have that game as well. We're running on retail, so I'm going to hit No. Now, because it's not the Steam version either, we're going to want to navigate to Program Files, Electronic Arts, Sims 3 Game Bin. We want it to match what this says, but with the Program Files location. Confirming that, we'll just bring this up here as well. And once we hit install, we should see a few new files populate. Yep. So we've got our TS3 patch, and then I'm fairly certain that it also replaces the launcher. No, it does not. But it does install the smooth patch. And on that note, we'll want to install the LazyDuchess Launcher. It says it's for the EA app only, and it is. But just to kind of give an idea, that will also include the TS3 patch launcher, which will also hook the smooth patch and allow you to also launch ASI files alongside your game. If you're running an Intel Alder Lake CPU, you can run this. And then select your TS3 executable, and it will not only patch the TS3 executable, but it will also create a backup copy of it. And then with your nRaas core mods, I have them highlighted in yellow as recommended but optional, but some of them I also highly recommend, so I put them in red. nRaas mods will also install to the mod framework folder. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the mod framework installed. It is also why I have put it on every single page of this app. so that no matter where you are in the app, you can click on and install the mod framework. So the nRaas no CD has no effect on the EA game launcher. If you're running the game from the Sims 3 launcher, it will not run without a CD. If you have the Steam or the Origin/EA app version of The Sims 3, you don't need the nRaas no CD at all. This is mainly just for retail. But you have to make sure that you point the desktop shortcut here directly to the TS3.exe. Because if it runs from the launcher, it's not going to work at all. You have to run it directly, start the game directly. Now, as you'll notice, as I've been installing these mods, they will begin to show up here in the Mod Frameworks Packages folder. We'll go back to Tweaks. Now, this section of the app, the Game INI Tweaks panel, is going to show you a few different ways to limit the FPS and a few other ways to optimize how the game performs through modification of some of its files. If this particular view, if it seems a little stretched out, I do apologize. That's also why I included a Open in Browser button here at the bottom, so that you can open the original page, find this section, and see the images in their full resolution. But yeah, as you click on these, it'll give you guides that you can use to make the game run better via adjusting some of its configuration files. The TinyUI Fix, if you click on it, will bring up a web page detailing how it works. It will then download quite a few of its own files. It should do this automatically as long as it finds the game. If it can't find the game, you may have to navigate to the folder manually. Now, because I'm running in a virtual machine, this of course is having its own little issues, but as long as you've ran the game at least once, this should automatically populate, download all its required files, and begin to go through the process with you, outlining what you need to do, along with this guide on the left that will walk you through all the different things you need to do in order to essentially... What TinyUI does is it takes that small little UI you get with bigger resolutions like 1080p, 1440p, and 2160p, or 1K, 2K, and 4K, and it will stretch out the UI and make it bigger so that it's easier for you to see things. It's not doing that right now because I haven't ran the game yet, and I haven't ran the game yet because I've got everything installed in a virtual machine. Kind of hard to run a game in a virtual machine, especially when it doesn't really understand that it's a virtual machine. It's like it doesn't know what to do a lot of the times. This is another small guide on what settings are best in the game that will result in a lot faster loading. Things like disabling the interactive loading screen where you can play little mini games. While it was a brilliant idea by Maxis and EA, it also created a great deal of lag in between the main menu and loading into a town. But that and a few other things, social options, advanced demographics, etc., all outlined in here, things you can safely disable that will make the game run a lot faster. It's optional, you don't have to disable everything in that, but the more you do disable, the faster your game's gonna run. I also included a small little guide here that I found on the Steam forums, that if you have Katy Perry Sweet Treats, either the retail CD or maybe perhaps you have it on Origin or EA Play, the EA app, this will outline how you can take the Sweet Treats expansion and manually migrate it over to Steam. It's a process, but not impossible. As long as you follow this verbatim, you will be able to get Sweet Treats to run in Steam, even though it was exclusive to the EA app / Origin. Under BUGFIX Central, I would first recommend installing Simler's fixes. He has done a great deal of work and has included in his mod several, almost, I think almost in the hundreds, several fixes for the game and its expansions. So I would recommend installing that. If you're running the EA or Steam version of the game, you will not need this part of the program. This is the patch menu. Again, if you're running a digital distribution, your game should already be all the way up to date. If you're running the EA app or Origin version, you should be on 1.69. If you're running the Steam version, you should already be at 1.67. And these are both the versions that are downloaded and installed by default. So this is really only for those who are running the retail installations of The Sims 3. I included the patch downloader by 4GT just in case I fall behind on keeping these up to date. But these patches, from everything from the base game to outdoor living stuff, are the most current available patches to completely update all of the retail games to their most recent version. If you're running Generations, if you have the Generations expansion pack, none of this will be necessary, as after Generations, everything was, the whole update schema was changed. So you can still apply these 7 patches to the expansions before Generations, but everything Generations and after isn't necessarily required, as long as your base game is patched. Gameplay fixes. This is the real meat of TS3Tools. And as you'll notice, the plumb bob has changed to red. I did not go over that, but in a lot of these different pages, you'll notice that the plumb bob changes from green, yellow, red. Green plumb bob pages are completely optional, not important in order to make the game run better, but suggested. Yellow comes highly recommended. If you see a yellow plumb bob or a yellow button, definitely consider installing those. Don't really want to skip them. And if it's red, you absolutely should not skip them. I have it outlined in red text here that you should only install fixes for expansions or stuff packs that you have installed. If you install packages for expansions or stuff packs that you don't have installed, it's more than likely going to cause your game to crash. So at this moment right now, I only have the base game installed. So if you go into the base game fixes page, you're going to see all the different fixes that are available. The buttons are a little different in this screen. Instead of being green, yellow, or red to mark their importance, they are green or red to mark whether they are packages or overrides. They should already say what folder they're going to go into, and in this case the package folder. But if you click on a override mod, it's going to say overrides. Now you might notice a little message box that pops up whenever I click any of these, and that is the name of the author of the original fix. I do have a special thanks section in this app, but there's just so many people that were involved in all of this that I could not fit every single one of your names into the special thanks message box here. So I took the liberty of taking every single author of all of these fixes and making sure that there's a little message box pop up saying, hey, this is who made this mod. Make sure you give them props and thanks if you happen to see them anywhere along the internet, just kind of thing. So yeah, as long as you've got it pointed at your documents folder for the mod framework, you can hit install, and any of those mods that you install should end up in your mods framework folder. Velocity grass, only important memories, which is what we just installed. But let's say we click the half wall fix. Half wall's fixed. There you go. Occasionally you may run into a mod like this one, where it is for the base game, but it requires at least one or more expansion packs to function correctly. The no auto community lots in this case requires either Ambitions, Showtime, Supernatural, or Seasons. One of those expansions, not all of them. It requires at least one of those expansions. If you try to install this mod, say with just the base game, patched all the way up to 1.67, it's not likely that it will function correctly. Or at all. It may even cause your game to crash. If you don't have any of those expansions, you can safely skip this mod. You don't have to install this fix. Now, we will come back to this in a moment, but as you'll probably have noticed, there are a number of other tabs for the game fixes. We only have the base game installed right now, so I'm going to come back to it later. In the recommended mods section, I have not included any of these mods into the tool directly. These are just mods that I recommend people download and play around with, see if they like them. What these buttons will do at this time is give you a brief description of what it is and ask if you want to go to the download page for the mod. If you like what the description says and it seems like something you would use, you can hit yes, and it will give you a page. It will take you to the page for that mod where you can then choose to download that mod and then manually copy it into your mod framework packages folder. Oops, I did not mean to close that. Likewise, if you hit a mod and you don't like the description, you're like, well, maybe never mind. Maybe I don't like the sound of that. You can hit no, and nothing happens. Discord button down here on the bottom. Obviously, if you want to join our Discord, any new releases I'll have posted on there. I've got a section for people who want to share pictures of their Sims, their neighborhoods, or their houses that they just built. Maybe you built your first houseboat in Bridgeport instead of on Il Paradiso, or you have your Sims going to Sims University and they scored an awesome credit card report card, sorry, and you want to show it off, you can do that. I have a section in the Discord for that. I have a section in the Discord for bugs. If you click the little info button down here, you get a little brief about for the program, which just kind of gives you an outline of the history of the program, what version it is, all the etc, etc. If you want to donate to TS3Tools to show your appreciation for the work that I've been doing and will continue to do, you can hit the support button down here. It'll bring you to our website where hopefully at some point we're going to have a lot more populated here, like Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App, PayPal, etc, etc. But let's see. The Sims 3 store section, if you click these first two buttons, that just takes you to the Sims 3 store main page and the daily deal page. If you are going to spend your sim points on the Sims 3 store, you the majority of this information here focuses very much on the daily deal system, because that's where you are going to get most of the best deals are through the daily deal rotation. There are many other ways to get the Sims 3 store, but that is not within the purview of TS3Tools or this guide. This is just going to go over the best possible way to do it using the legitimate method, which is buying them through the store. If you have bought the base game and all of the expansions, then there's a good chance you should receive about 500 to 1,000 sim points per purchase of each game that you register on the Sims 3 store. So if you take your registration code and you pop it into the register your game section in the Sims 3 store, it should allow you to redeem anywhere from 500 to 1,000 sim points per title for an overall total of 10,000 to 21,000 sim points, which can go a long way, especially with the daily deal. So those first two buttons will take you to the main Sims 3 store page, but this third one here is the real gem. Over time, people have examined and plotted out the exact rotation the daily deal is on. Now, it used to be the daily deal was a daily thing. You got a deal for 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, the deal would rotate out to a different one. But after the current rotation, September 23rd, 2014, every daily deal rotates every 2 hours instead of every 24 hours. So every 2 hours you can get something. And what this rotation sheet, it's an Excel spreadsheet, what this spreadsheet will tell you is at what time does a certain deal come on, and is that the best deal for that item. You may have one item that is in the rotation 7 times, and only twice out of those 7 times is it the lowest possible price, the lowest possible percentage off of the original price. I also included a button for some free store items that are no longer charged sim points for, that you can get completely free. There is an individual on YouTube who made, Yasmin, who made a very, very specific guide that goes over some of this, and so I included her video guide. A lot of these buttons are just going to redirect you to a website where you will find more information. This is currently in the works, but I will have hopefully a section of the app where you can buy the Sims 3 games, and that will help you to get more sim points. Likewise, I have it on the main page here, but it's the same thing. It's still in the works. I have a lot of work to do getting that featured into the app, and I want to do it in a certain way where I can use affiliate links and I myself get a small percentage anytime someone buys one of those games, just to kind of help support the project. The mod tools section, if you're interested in trying to extract certain resources from the game or even create your own mods for the game, the bulk of it's going to be in this section of TS3 Tools. If you really only just want to play The Sims, you can safely ignore this area of the program. This just allows you to use the Create a World tool to make your own neighborhoods. You can use the package editor to either unpack existing game packages into a staging folder for your own mods, or to pack your own mods into package folders, or files, package files. And then the Sims 3 pack extractor, almost exactly the opposite of the packages. When you download a house off the exchange, it usually comes in a .sims3pack file, and this allows you to extract those to their bare elements so that you can either install them manually or maybe even also make changes to them in, say, the Sims 3 package editor. This particular feature, I'm including it. It's the generic game keys feature. I'm merely including this because of the fact that if, like me, you've bought a copy of The Sims 3 or one of its expansion or stuff packs off the shelf, and let's say it was a legitimate disc, but it was in a generic CD jewel case, and there's no sign of the serial number. So, I mean, here you have this game, but you can't install it because you don't have the CD key. Or maybe you lost your original game case. What this part of the app will do is give you generic keys that can be used for the retail discs only. You won't be able to register them on EA or Steam, and there's no guarantee that any of the online features will work, such as the in-game store, the exchange, or Simport. None of that may function correctly. This is just so you can get the game or its expansion pack installed. You can essentially highlight any one of these. In fact, we'll go over that real quick. So right now I have the base game installed, but if you give me a minute here, this is what I'm talking about. When you get to this point of the installer, if you do not have the game case for whatever it is you're trying to install, be it the base game, one of the expansion packs, one of the stuff packs, if you don't have that case with the original slip that has the serial number on it, you're stuck. There's no way for you to install that expansion pack or stuff pack. So again, if you're in the generic game keys section, you can take that serial number, go back to your serial number input screen in the installer, copy and paste it over, and voila, you are able to then install that expansion or stuff pack and go about your way. I'm using World Adventures as an example because, again, this is a clean install of Windows on a virtual machine specifically for this video, so nothing else is installed. But it also gives us a chance to go back over the game fixes. Now that World Adventures is installed, you can go to that section of the gameplay fixes, and since you're running the base game and you're running World Adventures, you can then install the World Adventures tweaks, or excuse me, BUGFIX gameplay fixes. It just really boils down to what you have, and if you're a completionist and you have the base game and all 21 of the or excuse me, 20 of the expansion and stuff packs, then you can pretty much install all of this if you have all of it installed. The one thing that's a little different is the store fixes. If you don't have these store items, don't install these fixes, because again, it's the same process. If you don't have it and you install the fix for it, you're probably going to break your game. So just be wary of what you do own, and especially like what expansion packs you own, what stuff packs you own, and those store fixes, what store items do you own, and are they installed? So just be wary of all that. Outside of that, if you want to add me on Simport, I send a lot of gifts sporadically. So like I'll sometimes make potions using the alchemy lab and send those off to folks. Or if you just want to have an extra friend on your Simport friends list, the TS3 video guide, obviously it's what you're watching right here, right now. These comparison videos were filmed and posted by Anime Boom, who a majority of the INI tweaks that are listed here were featured in his guide. Majority of the fixes and mods and the nRaas core mods that are featured in TS3Tools are featured in his guide as well. In fact, he inspired a lot of the work on TS3Tools through his guide, but I'm just trying to take that and automate it. But these videos were posted by him or her, I'm not sure, and them and I share a very similar system, so it just kind of showcases how the game runs out of the box versus how it'll run once it's optimized. So I would definitely recommend viewing those. But I will show at the end of this video what the game can run like once you have all of this installed. One other thing to note is that not everybody's system is going to be the same. So these videos are just a comparison of a 16 core processor with 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM and a 3090. That's a comparison of that system running vanilla and then with the optimized guide. But if you have a completely different kind of system, the game's going to run in a completely different way. It really all depends, but you will see a vast improvement over vanilla regardless. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the video, and then just kind of give you an idea what the game will run like once you have everything installed. Okay, so we're going to count. At least I'm going to count from the time I hit this checkbox to the time it loads into the game. "51 seconds. 51 seconds to load from the main menu into the game. Now that is with every single expansion and stuff pack installed. That is with every single store item installed. And all 57 of the gameplay fixes installed, with all of the settings files tweaked and with the recommended in-game settings all set as per the guides. 51 seconds it took to load into. The game's also installed on an SSD. Actually, it's installed on a regular SSD, not an NVMe. So if you had it installed on an NVMe, it might load in a little faster. But yeah, it's just a rundown, of how the program works, a showcase of all of the features, and then, as you've seen, an overall performance increase in how the game runs. And you may notice that there's a little less lag between how the game interacts with what you're telling it to do. So yeah, hope you guys have all enjoyed the app, and if you have any features or suggestions that you think should be included, let me know. If you find any bugs, again, jump on the Discord, let me know. Please, if you enjoy what I'm doing with this project, please consider supporting myself and the project. I have it hosted online, and that would greatly help with the hosting costs, but also to help keep me motivated. And again, I'm hoping to put something up like Buy Me a Coffee, so you can just like throw money on Buy Me a Coffee so I can get some coffee. As I'm recording this video, I'm in the very first day of quitting smoking and drinking, so it's better for my health this way. I just gotta keep telling myself that. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, and enjoy The Sims 3 optimized with TS3 Tools.